Okay, let's be real for a second, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, right? So tell me, sis, are you on the verge of insanity? Because if you're wrapping up the fall semester a little tired, a little burnout, and a whole lot overwhelmed, and then you skip this one step that I'm going to talk about today, I promise you're walking straight into the spring semester with that exact same insanity energy. So before you repeat the cycle, let's pause for a second. Let's take a look at what actually happened in your homeschool these last few months so that you can come back from the holiday break clearer, calmer, and better than ever. I'm sharing 5 simple questions that will completely change how you plan your next homeschool year for the better. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Elan Page. I'm a homeschool mom of 2, and I help families reimagine education in a way that gives your family freedom. And as I'm recording this, it's December. And y'all, this is one of my favorite times of the year. Not necessarily because of the holidays, but because of planning. Because if you think about it, it's really the perfect homeschool planning season. Because in August, there's so much more pressure. You're finalizing curriculum and activities, you're buying school supplies, you're doing all the things. But in December and January, you don't generally have all the things to do all at the same time. And this time of year also has an advantage that you don't have at the very beginning of the school year. And that, my friends, is 4 to 5 months of real data, because you've lived a whole semester. You've seen what flourished and what flopped in your homeschool, and you've seen which routines stuck and which ones maybe went by the wayside the moment life got busier. But best of all, you're seeing in real time who your kids actually are as learners this school year, not just who you were hoping that they would become. So the planning time that you're able to do around the holidays, in between semesters, it's not about starting over. It's about making thoughtful tweaks based on what we've experienced, not just what we're imagining. So let me walk you through 5 powerful questions to ask yourself before you start planning for your next semester, because these are really going to help you see your wins, name your challenges, and simplify things so that you can design a homeschool life that actually fits your family. So let's get started. The first question to ask yourself is, what actually worked well this year and why? Now, if you're anything like me, I tend to focus on the negative. I can't even help it. When I'm evaluating something, I skip straight to the, well, what went wrong? But it should actually be the opposite. For our homeschool planning, let's start with what went right. So what did your kids love the most about this fall semester? And don't just guess, ask them. Also, what were some of the learning moments when your child genuinely lit up and came alive? Are there opportunities to do more of that? What routines felt natural and easy to maintain? And what activities could they not wait to do every single week? I want you to jot these answers down, because this is going to be your blueprint for what to keep and what to amplify for the coming semester. Now, here's the second question. What consistently didn't work and what made it hard? Because now that you've started out with the positive, now we can kind of go ahead and get into the negative. So what things just aren't working in your homeschool world? And more importantly, what are you trying to force to make happen? Is it a curriculum that maybe just isn't a fit? Because I've certainly been there. Is it a routine that just doesn't want to stick? Because it's okay to try something new, sis. Is it an activity that's fun, but it's killing you to make the scheduling happen? Because trust me, that speeding ticket that you're bound to get as you race across town is not worth it in the long run. So many moms, myself included, try to force things that clearly are not working because they feel this guilt of letting it go. But let me give you permission to give yourself permission to embrace the art of the pivot. Because the sooner you can let go of what's going wrong, the sooner you can embrace what will actually work for your family. So here's what you do. If something consistently created stress in the fall semester, I want you to write that down. And remember, it's not about failure. This is data, and it's going to help us as we tweak our plan for the remainder of the school year. Okay, here's the third question. Where did we feel rushed, overwhelmed, or stretched a little too thin? Now, this one is going to feel a little bit similar to the last question, but what I really want to focus on here is this. Was your family's pacing, their workload, their weekly structure, and your overall expectations maybe just a little bit too unrealistic? So let me give you some examples. Did you think that maybe you could get through 5 modules in your math curriculum, but you only were able to get through 3? Did it feel like there was never enough time to get to all the subjects every single week? So maybe some of the fun stuff got pushed to the wayside? Did you feel like you were always rushing from one thing to the next and no downtime at all to ever catch your breath? And did you as a mom feel like you could get more of your own work done in the morning or at night when the kids were sleeping? But when it came down to it, shoot, you were tired and you wanted to lay down too. Because if you're looking back at the fall semester and you're feeling like any of these things are true, it's time for some simplification in your life. Homeschooling should really have a much more doable pace that you're afforded than in traditional school. Not because you're doing less, but because you're able to customize your family's rhythm based on your actual needs, not just because a predetermined schedule says you have to do it that way. So pull back where you need to, reorganize where you see that maybe too many things are stacked up next to one another, and reset your expectations for your pacing as you go through your kids' various subjects. And make sure that you base it on their actual needs, not just how quickly you can make your way through the curriculum, because homeschooling is not a race. So if this has been a struggle, I want you to get rid of that mindset and reset your expectations for the next semester. Now, here's question number 4. What does my child need more of next year? Now, this one builds on the pacing piece because we're going to focus on what our kids actually need, both academically and otherwise. Because at the end of the day, we want to ensure our kids are nurtured both inside and out. So their joy, their connection with others, their sense of independence, and their ability to tackle challenges. All of these things are important. So take a look back at this past semester and think through these points. Your kids' academic needs. Are things flowing smoothly? Do they maybe need more support in any particular area? And if so, do you feel empowered to get the resources that you need to better support them? And then what about their social needs? Are they yearning for more time with their peers? Take a good look at how you can get them plugged in to find their people. And then what about their emotional needs? Have you noticed any changes in their emotions that need to be addressed? This is why it's really important not to rush through life so fast that you don't have time to slow down and observe the things that truly matter. And then what about your kids' identity and cultural roots? Now, this one is really, really important for families of color, especially in the homeschool world, because we're often in the minority. But I want you to be sure that if you haven't already, you find opportunities for your kids to be around other kids who look like them. It's honestly exhausting to be an other all the time, so don't overlook that piece. And then finally, what about your kids' interests and strengths? Now, you might be doing an awesome job of keeping up with their academics, but are you also giving your kids opportunity to do the things that they love and have maybe asked about? Maybe even for months. Don't forget about those things. Y'all, it took me 2 years to get my daughter into theater, but now that she's finally in it this school year, she loves it so much. And I'm glad that I finally found the right fit for her to nurture that passion. And then here's our last question. What does our family need more or less of this school year? Now, this is more of a big picture lifestyle type of question. And you should have gotten some context clues throughout this entire exercise as you answered the other questions. And that's going to help you answer this one. So for example, when you ask your kids what they loved most about the fall semester, if they answered the camping trip that you guys did together as a family, then sis, you might want to plan another family experience like that one. And remember, it doesn't have to be an expensive experience because likely what your kids remembered and appreciated so much was making memories together as a family, not how much it cost. You could also look at our second and third questions about what didn't work or how you might have stretched your family too thin. So if you're continually seeing the same themes in this exercise of not having enough time to get it all done or feeling rushed, if those are continually coming up, then you may need to do less stuff so that you can spend more quality time together as a family. So take inventory of everything that you've made note of in this process and see how these things are all connected and how they're ultimately affecting your family. And then adjust from there. Remember though, that when it comes to our families, sometimes subtraction of some of the ancillary things that we like to do is actually the addition of what we really need to maintain a healthy family life. So when you take a step back and look at everything that you just uncovered, your wins, your struggles, your pacing, your child's needs, and your family's rhythm, what you're really doing is setting the foundation for a second semester that feels lighter, clearer, and more aligned with what your family really needs. Because this exercise is all about giving yourself the space to reflect on what's actually happening in your home so that you can make smart, informed decisions that best support your family. And if you completed this exercise and you're thinking, okay, like I see the gaps, but I'm not totally sure how to fix them. Or if you're like, well, I see what we need. I just need help turning it into an actual plan. Well, sis, that's where I can come in. I can help support you and help taking all of these reflections and turning them into a customized, doable homeschool plan for the coming semester. And I'd love to walk you through it in my Design Your Year one-on-one session. Together, we'll design a homeschool year that works with your family's needs, not against them. Because I want your family to have a homeschool year that's flexible, intentional, effective, and sustainable for your real life. So the link is in the description and I'd be honored to help support you. And that's it for today. I want you to make sure that you subscribe and keep tuning in for continued support in your homeschool journey. And don't forget, learning never ever stops, and homeschool is a beautiful way to live that out. I'll see you in the next one.